My name is Ilan Haimoff, and I'm a partner at GHJ, where I lead the Profit Participation Group. I wanted to thank you all for joining today for a discussion on making film and television production deals during COVID with both Chris Spicer and Darian Singer. Chris is the head of the entertainment and media practice at the law firm of Akin Gump, and Darian is a managing director in the JP Morgan's Entertainment Industries Group. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One big question I have for both of you today is, with a prolonged and evolving public health crisis with COVID, what opportunities, challenges, and other trends do you see in the film and television industry, whether it's from a production, legal, financing, or other standpoint?
Sure. So look, from my perspective, there's a number of considerations. I think there's cause to be optimistic too, but at the end of the day, there's plenty of content being consumed. So there's plenty of demand. And it's a matter of figuring out the supply, which gets to the production side of it. I think when you think about the production side of it, there's a lot, considerations from the finance and the legal perspective, many of which frankly overlap. For example, thinking about insurance coverage, thinking about completion bonding, which, have been sort of prerequisites to financing and historically, and still are in many ways, but we all, bankers, lawyers, producers, all have to be thinking about things differently than we were before. So that's certainly a consideration. And I think COVID generally has been an accelerant to trends that were already underway. And so now it's a matter of sort of catching up and thinking about what the long-term ramifications are, including what does the long-term value of content look like in today's world? It's probably just a different analysis, not necessarily worse, and even plenty of arguments for why it might be better in the long run, but certainly an educational period, I think, for many of us, at least on the finance side.
So I guess that flips to me then on the legal side. So thanks for having me, Ilan. Nice to be with you. I'm going to echo a lot of what Darian said. It's obviously the legal and finance and how the business fits together in film and television does kind of all mix. The specific trends that we've seen on the legal side is more flexibility in deal making. There's actually even more sources of financing for single particular projects in film and television, based on the risk level that people are willing to take, with, of course, the appropriate returns. And we've seen continued creativity as we emerge from a COVID world to hopefully a mostly, vaccinated COVID world, ideally. So kind of when breaking it into challenges and opportunities, the primary challenges, kind of not to sugarcoat it, are very similar to what they were before. Investors like certainty, and we live in uncertain times. So the challenges legal production include longer shoots, higher potential for shutdown, uncertainties revolving around insurance coverages, different appetites for risk, with respect to top talent that works on these productions. But what we like to say is kind of every time there's challenges, there's multiple opportunities, and those continue to exist for parties that can creatively structure deals, have flexibility from a legal and financial perspective, and who can appreciate and take some amount of risk. So specifically, what we've seen is kind of, investors and producers who are, experienced on producing films on a budget can get projects made still and even thrive. So indies particularly, it's kind of an opportunity for people who are used to shoestring budgets from multiple sources. They've been able to adapt very quickly, handling the legal challenges, both navigating the relationships between multiple investors and sources of capital, creating a safe set with, the right protocols for COVID. And as a result of all that, there's, honestly, more opportunities than there were before. And additionally, echoing what Darian said, is we've already seen and expect to continue to see a higher price for the acquisition of content. At festival circuits, there's fewer and fewer projects right now based on what's happened for the last year in COVID, and that scarcity and the combination of multiple streamers will raise prices higher.
Thank you both.
And I may add along, just for what it's worth, from a a scarcity perspective, which Chris touched on, that means there's a backlog of stuff to come, and there's been a year in which production may have been reduced or delayed, but that has facilitated a lot of work being done from a development standpoint. So when you think of volume of content production and really opportunity from a financier and investor perspective, there is presumably a ton of it to come.
Thank you for that as well. Just to close very quickly, being the eternal optimist that I am, one curious question I have for both of you is, what one positive thing you see 1 year from now in our industry? So you're gonna have to look at that crystal ball and give me your thoughts.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, well, I was gonna say there's more ways to consume more content, and I see that trend continuing, and the quality of content continuing to increase.
And I'll give you two, Ilan, cooperation and flexibility.
And I'll close with my own prediction: all-time box office results in the United States and across the world that we've never seen before in about a year from now, where everybody's just going to run to the theaters to catch up. Thank you both for joining me, Chris and Darian, and thank you all for joining us.